Hey there, friends and family. Just making a quick little video here for no other reason other than the fact that I kind of wanted to. Today I'm going to be making my favorite pasta sauce. I'm going to be making pasta alla Puttanesca sauce. This sauce contains the following ingredients. You can see in here I've got a decent amount of olive oil, specifically about, no, I could say specifically about, but I believe about 4 to 5 tablespoons of olive oil here. You can see some of it over there. Let's see. Some sliced and chopped garlic here. About, let's see, depending on the size of your garlic, it can be like, several cloves there, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Since I had a particularly small bowl of it, I just went ahead and used the whole shebang. Over here, we've got about a half cup of sliced and halved Kalamata olives, along with a mix of capers and about, I'd say, a couple of teaspoons of that, like 3 maybe? Yeah, 3 teaspoons of capers. I rinsed them both off just because this is going to be plenty salty on its own, especially because of this can of anchovies, which I'm going to toss in there in just a little bit, and the piece de resistance, a can of whole peeled San Marzano tomatoes. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start this off at a nice medium to medium high heat here, and start using it to brown up the garlic, and we'll get going after that. I'll show you a progress report in just a second. Alright, I'm back. Okay, so everybody, you can see that the garlic is just starting to saute. It's starting to bubble up there a little bit. Now, you definitely do not want your garlic to get too golden or burnt, or else that's going to make it really bitter. So I'm sauteing it a little bit here now, starting to make sure it's getting aromatic, making sure it starts to soften up here a little bit. And while it's doing that, make sure that my heat isn't up too much, because I usually want this like hot, just hot enough. Now, while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and add in these anchovies. The anchovies here are whole, but here's the thing. Once they start to heat up, they're going to start to just disintegrate and melt right into that sauce. So I'm tossing it in there. I broke them up from how they were in the can. Now, a lot of people don't like anchovies, or, at least they don't think they do, because they've typically only had them on pizza. And if you've only had them on pizza, I am not going to blame you for hating them. They are, in fact, not always the most pleasant thing to taste. To get some good quality anchovies, though, they're usually pretty nice. But the big thing that they're going to do here is they're going to add what the culinarians might call an umami flavor. Basically, they're going to give it a nice savoriness kind of to it. You can see that it's starting to bubble up there nicely. Sorry, I'm trying to avoid dropping my phone here, since that's what I'm using. I'm breaking this up. You can start to see that it's disintegrating. You can also chop up the anchovies beforehand. You can even add them later on in the sauce here, and that's fine. But I really like the flavor there, so I'm going to give them a little bit more of a stir. Incorporate it a bit more here into it. Oh yeah. Okay, you can't smell this, of course, but it is smelling nice and fragrant. Very good. Garlic is slowly turning more golden, and I press into it with my spoon. I can tell that it's softening up properly. Get a little bit more time here. Once the anchovies have incorporated fully here, I can go ahead and start adding in the other ingredients. By the way, for the can of anchovies that I had, I drained off a little bit of the oil, although not all of it. Some of that oil also helps add to the flavor there, of course. Okay, yeah, and, oh yeah, okay. Now the garlic has really softened up, so, well, I'm going to let it continue to cook just a little bit longer here. I'm going to start adding in some of the other ingredients. So here are the olives and the capers. Going to add them in at the same time. Didn't quite get all of it in there. Now these are all very strong, flavorful ingredients here, so you might think that altogether this is just going to be a really overpowering sauce. And while it is strong, I assure you that when they marry all together, this sauce is just absolutely dynamite. Alright, adding in the olives there, and the capers. Garlic's good. You can tell because I've added the ingredients that dropped the temperature here, which kept the garlic from burning. That is looking gorgeous. Yes, all right, very nice. And it's time to go ahead and add the tomatoes. Now, for the tomatoes, you can actually break them up. In fact, I've seen my preferred method typically is to squish the tomatoes by hand, like in a bowl, and then toss them in there. But instead, I'm going to go the grandma method. I'm just going to toss them in there, and while they're cooking and they soften up, I'm going to go ahead and break them up with my wooden spoon. All right, time to get started. Oop, sorry. Didn't mean to pan away there. Yeah. Never took a filmmaking class in my life. All right, so put these nice, delicious looking plum tomatoes in there. Got this going. And again, now I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for a while. I'm gonna let it simmer. I'll show you guys another progress report in a minute. And we should be a little bit closer to making our sauce. Okay, folks, all right, so as you can see, I've broken up the tomatoes. They've gotten softer. You can still see some chunks in there. I'll continue to smush them up as I go. But a big part of it is that, yeah, it's gotten to a nice simmer, so I'm gonna go ahead and lower the heat and let it simmer here for a little bit. I've actually got a second burner going over here. Should keep it simmering nice for me. Oops, sorry. Yeah, now that should be doing just fine. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and let this simmer. Might turn it up just a little bit more on this burner to make sure that it isn't too hot. I don't want to burn it, obviously, but do want to go ahead and just sort of let it sit for a little bit longer. Turn up the heat a teeny bit there, just yeah, give it that little extra heat. And while it's doing that, I'm also going to start making some spaghetti, and pretty soon here we should have ourselves a good old pasta. All right, see you at the end. Okay, so side note here, while everything's cooking here, pasta is heating up. Still got my sauce here, which is still on a nice simmer here, just keeping it on low. Little companion I got here with me is my handy dandy Negroni. This is a nice Italian cocktail here made of gin. Sorry, the countertop's a little bit dirty here today, but anyway, made of gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari in equal parts. Very nice, a little bittersweet. Perfect complement to the nice sharp flavors here of what the pasta is going to be. It is indeed quite salty. By the way, side note here, this pasta here, pasta alla Puttanesca, is referred to as such because it literally means pasta like a whore would make. Now the reason why they call that, the legend is that supposedly ladies of the night would concoct this out of different things they had lying around, and that the smell would entice potential, shall we say, clients. Now, that's probably not true, though, but it comes from the this idea in Italian that Puttanesca literally means sort of like worthless woman there. So, let's see. Well, putta is the word for for hooker, basically, in Italian. But anyway, but it also can refer to like, oh, any old worthless thing. So a lot of people think that this means that people just took a whole bunch of things that they had lying around in their house, canned olives, canned anchovies, canned tomatoes, just dump all that stuff in there. People's always got like a little bit of garlic hanging around if you're in Italy. So just toss that all in there and, you know, whip up something. And it's basically a whole bunch of things that separately probably aren't going to be maybe your favorite thing in the world there. All the strong flavors, the capers, the olives, the anchovies, the garlic, all these strong things, but when put together, they put together just an absolutely dynamite sauce. So, anyway, just a short little interlude here before the final product. Okay, all right, we are at the end of it. Funny enough, as I was making this video here, there was actually a power outage, and for a second there I was afraid it was going to ruin the pasta, since, you know, I've got the stove here and all, and it's electric. But anyway, all right, so we got a half-pound pasta here. I give this a little nice stir here. It's nice, thickened up, rich, delicious here. I had a couple of tastes myself here just as a preview. Make sure I don't spill any. Bring it over nice and close. All right, spoon a little bit in here. You can also, of course, just toss it directly into the sauce to finish cooking it, but I made sure that the sauce was nice and al dente. By the way, there are some pasta recipes where you might want to actually include a little bit of the pasta water. Personally, for this one, I think that's probably not necessary. The extra saltiness is probably not gonna help you in this case, because this sauce is plenty salty all on its own. Now, once again, if you don't like really salty pasta, then this obviously might not be the best thing in the world for you. But otherwise, I would strongly recommend it here. Now, let me give it a little tossy toss here, because I had a nice amount of sauce here. Nothing worse than unsauced pasta. Yeah, now you can see there's definitely it's definitely nice and moist, very tasty. Ooh, get back in there, you little olive there. You ain't getting out of this one. All right. All right. Just a little more. All right. Okay. All right. Now there is definitely more here, and yeah, it was definitely a little bit more mixing I could do. But you know what? I think I've kept everybody in suspense for long enough. Let me see if I can't get a nice one here. A little bit of caper, nice olive on it. This has a decent portion of just about everything on it. Let me go ahead and give it a little twirly twirl. Ooh, yeah, I almost lost the olive there. And yep, there we go. That is some gorgeous looking pasta. All right, and let's see how it is. It's not. Oh my god. That is fantastic. Got a little Negroni here to help me out. That is the perfect complement. Now, you optionally can garnish this with a couple other things. If you want to add a little bit of Parmesan, you can. You can also add some parsley. Parsley is the traditional thing. Nice freshly chopped, although if you don't, dried parsley will also work there. Personally, I think this is fine just as it is. You can even toss in a little bit of red pepper flake at the early stage there if you want to put a little bit of heat on it, but frankly, I think that this sauce is just about perfect. All right, well, anyway, thank you very much, everybody. I hope that you've enjoyed sitting through this, and though this is kind of a long blog style kind of thing here, not really used to it, so my apologies about some of the camera angles, but thank you very much. And if you do happen to cook this, please let me know how it turned out. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.